Right. Cool. All right. Gonna give everyone a few more minutes. You got people joining. Yeah, everyone in the audience, if you want to send it in the chat where you're located out of. And yeah, get this kicked off. And happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Hope you're wearing green. Las Vegas. Right on. Craig, are you going to Shop Talk? Hey, Lindsay. NYC, Austin. Another Austin, right on. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, it's going to be a big event. I know Krish and Adina are going from our panelists.
Yes, we'll be there.
Cool. All right. Why don't we go ahead and get this kicked off? So, hi everyone. I'm Michael from Justuno. You're here for the big ticket webinar, and it's all about how to market big ticket products in 2022. We're joining some pretty awesome partners today. We have Francesca from Simplistic, Brad from Justuno, Adina from Okendo, and Chris from ShipStation. If you guys want to give a quick little intro, say hi to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey there, everyone. Like Michael mentioned, my name is Francesca, and I head our data analytics and optimization team over at Simplistic. I'll explain a little bit more about what we do as an agency when we get there in a few minutes.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brad from Justuno. I'm a customer success strategist working out of Dayton, Ohio.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be on today. I'm Adina Marabi. I'm an agency partner manager based here in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Krish Iyer, and I'm Vice President of Partnerships for Octane. That's our holding company name for ShipStation, Shipping Easy, a whole bunch of other ship names. Yes, I did say ship, not something else. And I am based in Stamford, Greenwich, Connecticut. Go Yukon.
Right on. Thank you so much, everyone. Cool. All right. Before we get started, I'm going to run through some last minute logistics for the webinar, what to expect, what we're going to be talking about, and then I'm going to hand it off to Francesca. So yeah, this is an hour and 15-minute webinar. We have 4 awesome presentations lined up for y'all today. The recording of this webinar will be sent out tomorrow morning to all webinar registrants. So if you aren't able to stay for the whole event, that's okay. We'll be sending that out. And then if you want to send this out to anyone as well, just look for that email. Additionally, if you have any questions at all, and we hope that you do, we love questions here. That's what, we're here for you. Send them in the chat, and we'll get those replied to. As I said, since we have a little over an hour for this webinar, we have plenty of time to both go through our presentations, discuss, and just answer anything you want to know. So like, we are here for you, right? So yeah. All right. Oh, and since it is St. Patrick's Day, I thought it was fitting to do one quick joke, and that is, why can't you borrow money from a leprechaun? It's because they're always a little short.
That's a good one.
Thanks, Krish, for that. Alrighty, without further ado, Francesca, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. But first, I do want to give a little bit more background as to who I am and what we'll be talking about in this presentation here. So of course, we all did our intros. Again, I'm Francesca, and like I mentioned, I head our analytics and optimization service at Simplistic. I do come to Simplistic with several years now of both CPG experience and e-commerce experience. And there was even a while there where I dabbled in the world of selling on my own. So I was a merchant for a little bit on Shopify. And I think that certainly helped to propel me into my role today, but it also really fueled that passion that I have for being able to work with a lot of the clients that we get to interact with on a daily basis. I also failed to mention where I'm coming in from, and I am in Scottsdale, Arizona. So If anyone is ever looking to host an in-person event, I highly recommend Arizona as, you know, a good location, warm weather, especially at this time of year. Okay, so a little bit about what Simplistic does as an agency before I get into talking about strategy as it relates to both luxury and big ticket merchants. Simplistic is an e-commerce design development and optimization agency for direct-to-consumer brands, and we work on the Shopify and the Shopify Plus platform. And there are a handful of different services that we offer. So we do design work where we create really memorable design experiences through UX and UI best practices. We do, again, development, like I mentioned, where we have a wide range of work that can fall into that category, really. So you can see some of those here. And then we have the strategic optimization, which is the side of the business that I live on. Our strategic work is very much data-driven in that we dissect everything that we can about a website's audience and that audience's journey on the site, and then combine that with research and the latest and greatest findings in e-commerce to create very highly optimized site experiences. And a main part of our service is conducting website audits. So when we're auditing a website that is big ticket or luxury, there are several things that we keep in mind. So over the next 10 or so minutes, I'll share some of those high-level tips and best practices for the on-site experience that can bring your website visitors to ultimately say yes to making that purchase from you. If we think back to really just 5 years ago, I want to say, the thought of purchasing something like maybe a new couch online is something that was probably out of the question for a lot of people. And today it's very much more of the norm. So we're seeing that consumers are more willing than ever to make a big ticket purchase or a luxury purchase online, which is momentum that, you know, we now find ourselves able to build off of to drive even more of those big ticket purchases. Now, one of the biggest differentiators really between luxury or big ticket stores and other types of stores is that as a luxury or a big ticket store, there is a lot more convincing that you need to do to generate a sale. And when your shoppers arrive on your website, if you have those higher price point products, they are going to continuously look for reassurance that they can trust you. And in order to determine if buying from you is a safe and a reasonable choice, they essentially hold up a magnifying glass to every detail on the site. The only way to convince them is to create a sense of credibility as a brand. And there's a lot that can be done through the on-site experience to do just that. Really, once a visitor is on your site, the judgment is going to begin right away. And what I mean by that is that they are going to notice whatever content you've put on display, and they are going to interpret on their own whether that content is of value to them or not. But being in this space and working with so many clients that fall into this world, we do know of a few what I'll call tried and true methods that work really well to create perceived value. And I'll mention that there is a lot to take into account because you really need to consider everything from the look and feel of your site to the actual flow from one page to the next and what navigation should look like, how copy should read. The list goes on, but there are a few overarching themes that a strong strategic approach boils down to in this big ticket world. And those are design, information, and trust. So when it comes to design, the better the design, the more credible a brand seems to be. And this is just something that's been studied a lot. And time again, researchers are finding that shoppers perceive these really visually attractive online presences as being more trustworthy, honestly, just because they look good. Shoppers also tend to comment on design and a website's look and feel more than any other factor. And again, when it comes to studies and research that's been done here, a lot of these studies have found that good design is usually at the top of the list when it comes to your overall credibility factor. So some of the things and key elements I'll say to consider that contribute to a strong design are the following 3 items: layout, imagery, and navigation. In order to stand out as a reliable store, a site should have a clean, simple layout. Shoppers do appreciate sites that feel intuitive, and sometimes when we do too much to create unique layouts, it actually adds more friction to the experience than anything else. So it's important to remember that when it comes to layout, very straightforward, even minimalistic home pages and collections pages and product pages tend to do best. We want visitors to spot the most important details on the site, like product information, without being distracted by other unnecessary elements. So in speaking of product information, something that is crucial on all sites, but especially luxury and big ticket sites, is imagery. Images should be very high quality, and they should look very professional. You want those clean, crisp, close-up shots that really highlight the details of your product, as that's a great way to showcase what you sell while also reinforcing the professionalism of the site. And I have some examples of what that looks like in action coming up in a couple of slides here, so we'll get to that shortly. But finally, your site should be easy to navigate. So whether a visitor is navigating via the header navigation menu, or they're doing it through the footer, or even by using breadcrumbs on the site, all of the most relevant categories and products should be very easily accessible, and they should be named in ways that are easy to interpret, because if a visitor can't get around easily, they are going to leave. Now, the other piece of all of this is information. So if there's one thing you can count on, it's that a high ticket shopper is going to do extensive research on you. They're going to do extensive research on your product. And when shoppers are considering a big ticket product, they'll evaluate product details very closely. So they will spend time clicking through that product imagery that I mentioned. They will scan the description, they will compare prices, and they'll also evaluate issues like shipping. They'll look at customer service. They will look at returns way more closely than they would for a lower price point item, because what they'll be doing is they'll be creating ultimately a contingency plan in case they need to ask a question or make an exchange or return a product at the end of the day. So what this boils down to is that it's important to make sure of 4 things. First, that you're providing helpful and robust information as it relates to the product details. Second, that you're shining a spotlight on the policies that help to mitigate risk. For example, if you have a return policy, if you have a warranty or a guarantee, make sure to show those off. And then third, that you're injecting your brand values and your brand story throughout the site so that consumers can get to know you and the face behind the products. And then 4, that you're solving potential problems by answering any of those immediate questions a shopper might have about your business in the form of a frequently asked questions page, for example. Information really is something that I talk about a lot with our clients, because a trend that we've noticed over the past year, especially, is that about information. So stories about how your brand came into existence or what charities you might work with, and supplementary product information like routine overviews or instructions on how to apply a product are increasingly leading to higher conversion rates. And anytime that we evaluate what visitors on a big ticket site who see informational content do on that website compared to what visitors who don't see that same informational content do, it's like night and day when it comes to not just conversion rates, but those average order values and even how many products a shopper is willing to add to their transaction. All right, and then last but certainly not least, we have trust. So as shoppers browse your website, they are constantly assessing your trustworthiness, and they're looking for reassurance that giving their money to you is a worthwhile risk. One of the really quickest ways to get someone closer to yes is through social proof. So things like case studies, testimonials, customer reviews, those are all powerful tools in persuading your visitors that your products are the best fit for their needs. So to start, make sure that you have plenty of those genuine customer generated product reviews on display and that they're in an easy to locate place. People really do trust other shoppers more than they trust a brand, and the presence of reviews and ratings is considered very comforting, while their absence can turn into a major red flag. And Adina will be talking a lot more about this. She'll be going into it in depth, so more to come on that. But on top of that, trust badges, security seals, awards, honors, really anything that you have that can showcase something that your company has won or some type of assurance for the visitors on your site. These go a very, very long way in building trust with your potential customers, and they can be added to many different areas of the site, because at the end of the day, what shoppers need to know is why they need your product or service, right? Like how it will benefit them, what it is about you as a merchant that makes you the best avenue to purchase through, and that they will be safe doing so. All right, so I have some quick examples of what some of these best practices look like in action. And one of the clients that we work with in the luxury space is Loeffler Randall, and they are a great example of imagery, layout, and product information done right. So we have first a couple of screenshots here of their homepage, which immediately upon viewing, you're struck by this really powerful and high resolution imagery that gives you an inviting and close-up glimpse of the products. But when it comes to the overall layout, so what's below that hero banner there, the layout is very simple, but informative, which is key. So you have that hero banner, you have featured categories below that to provide visitors with a look at what the site has to offer product-wise. Then we have information about how the products have actually been designed, which is not something that you always see. It's key informational content to provide a bit more context really to what's going on behind the scenes, followed then by more information about the brand. So all of these are factors that consumers like to take into consideration. They want to get to know the product, but they also want to get to know the brand. This high quality imagery does carry over onto the product pages as well. So this is an example of, on mobile, obviously we can swipe through several of the images there, and I wanted to provide a screenshot of what that looks like if you were to look at the other images in the carousel as well. But you can see here that you have a mix of product specific and lifestyle shots, again, that are so well shot that it's almost as if you can feel the material and really picture what it would be like to use this product. And then similar to the homepage, the actual layout of the product pages contain all of the information that you could possibly need about a product, but it's laid out in a way that doesn't make it feel cluttered or visually overwhelming. So the second that you land on this PDP, you're able to see where you are on the site because of those breadcrumbs at the top of the page. You get that professional vibe from the imagery, the product name, the product price, the main features of the product, like what material it's made of and how tall the heel is and how many colors it's available in. That's all above the fold. So visitors are truly receiving this information upon first glance. And then without having to scroll too far, sizing information is available, as is a more detailed product description and shipping and return information. So this is a great example of the types of information you should make sure to include on your PDPs so that visitors are armed with the key information that they need to make an informed decision. The third and fourth images here show what the details, fit, and care tab looks like when expanded, and then also what the shipping and return tab looks like when expanded. So this third image here for the details, right? You can see that each one of the product characteristics is clearly outlined, and it even goes as far as to include care instructions. And then for the fourth image, for that shipping and returns tab, visitors who come to the site and look at this information will leave knowing not only what the product is made of and how it fits and how to take care of it, but also when to expect for it to arrive. How long does it take to process that order and actually ship it out? And what can you expect if you don't like it once it arrives? So approaches like this are very successful at eliminating doubt. Now, I do have a couple of other examples, but I don't want to take up too much time talking through all of them. So at the highest level, we also work with Algenist, which is a skincare brand, and they also do a really effective job on their homepage when it comes to including that simple navigation and that imagery, and really, really leaning into their brand story and their key selling points in the form of social proof. Same thing with their product pages. So with their PDPs, they lean into this as well, where you receive that really high priority product information right off the bat above the fold. And on top of that, then they have more social proof in the form of study results and customer reviews, all of which have been shown to improve conversion considerably. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you all with is one more example from Allswell, which is a mattress brand that we work with, that was actually missing some of the key elements that we've been discussing. So we saw the website, and having worked with them for a while, we just knew how important it was for us to improve the information and the trust on the site by incorporating things like social proof and special purchase benefits. So it's something that we, really did tackle right away. And I want to highlight these because if you aren't already doing these things, they are relatively simple additions to the site that can make a huge difference in how you're perceived as a brand. So one of the tweaks that we made was adding social proof in the form of product reviews on what is a mattress comparison module on the homepage. And we tested two different versions of this section of the homepage. We tested one version that had the reviews and the ratings, and one version that didn't, to see if that would actually create meaningful change. And what we found was that adding that social proof to that mattress comparison module led to a 44% increase in click-through to our actual mattress PDPs, and then a 45% increase in conversion, just by adding that visual indicator that, we have happy customers and people like the product. The other element that we incorporated at a separate time, but also on the homepage, was an informational banner that highlights the key benefits that come with the purchase of a mattress from Allswell. Allswell offers, a wide range of benefits. They have free shipping and returns. They have an extended warranty, a free trial period, all things that can heavily influence purchase behavior on big ticket items because of their ability to instill confidence, but they weren't very well highlighted across the site. So simply making this information more easily discoverable led to a 414% increase in click-through to the product pages alone. And then on top of that, we saw a 25% increase in conversion and a considerably higher average order value. This really just goes to show how much value visitors place on these pieces of information being clearly communicated to them. Now, what I would like to leave you with is that these are some of the high-level tactics that you can incorporate onto your site if you fall into the luxury world or the big ticket space. Again, that are relatively simple additions to make. And some of these topics we will obviously hear more about and get a lot more information on in terms of who to reach out to if you have questions about adding things like this to your site. But with that, I will also leave you with a special offer that we are giving out to attendees of this webinar. So if you're in attendance now and you reach out to us at sales@simplistic.com, we are going to be giving away 10 complimentary site audits, which again is where we're going to be taking a look at your traffic and how they're behaving on the site, some of those UX and UI best practices to take into account if you live in this world as a merchant. So let us know, go ahead and shoot us an email if you're interested in that. All right, and that is what I have for you all today. So I will go ahead and hand it back to you, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Francesca. That was a ton of awesome information. Yeah, I can tell that you could talk for, well, I think it goes for all of our topics, but you could talk for quite a while about pretty much any of those elements. But before we transition off to Brad, I have a really quick question for you, and it's from Hannah, and she just wants to know, does Simplistic only conduct audits for companies only on Shopify?
At the moment, yes, we are exclusive to Shopify. So we unfortunately would need for you to be on the Shopify platform as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Francesca. All right, cool. Let's keep it rolling along. Next up, we have Brad Stapleton from Justuno, who's going to dive deep into some CRO tactics for big ticket brands. Brad, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Michael. So today we're going to be talking about creating an on-site experience that's worthy of your big ticket items. Let's go ahead and just start off with a poll. So what are the biggest pain points you have in increasing conversions on-site? Is it time? Is it money? Is it know-how? If it's all three, I understand, but that's not an option of the poll. So just let us know. And we'll take a look here and see what everyone's biggest issue is. Looks like we're getting...
I'm going to end this poll in a few seconds, Brad. You can probably go on to the next slide. I'll end this in just a second.
Thank you. All right. So the first step in creating our site experience for our customer is going to be focusing on lead capture. Lead capture is what we're going to do when they first land on the site, and that's how we're going to be able to get the most information right off the bat. So there are a few different options on what to offer your customers in exchange for that lead capture. The first and most traditional option is going to be a discount, whether it's a set amount or a percentage off. It's tried and true and it's effective, but there are other options out there. So the first thing we'd like to talk about is tiered discounts. So this is the more you spend, the more you get back kind of discount that they can unlock different levels as they add more items to their cart. This gives the customer more of a choose your own adventure feel in their journey, and also allows you to increase that AOV by offering incentives to add more to the cart. Another option is complimentary or free items. Sometimes a simple giveaway is very easy to do as a site, and it can build a lot of excitement with your customers. An example we have for this is Tonal, who has giveaways with Theragun and Beats Audio for their product just for signing up with an email. Another option is a full giveaway sweepstake. So our example here is Evo wakeboards. They do a whole wakeboard package with all of the accessories you could want. The benefit here is they're giving away one high ticket item, but they're only doing it once, as opposed to the free items where we're doing a small gift for everyone. And then another thing we can do is shipping. So your site may already offer free shipping, which we all know in e-commerce that is a golden rule. But sometimes you can offer that free shipping or discounted shipping in exchange for something. In this case, it's an email or a phone number. This is an opportunity to get that information to start the relationship with the customer right off the bat as soon as they get to your site, instead of waiting for them to make the purchase to make a lead capture. Lead capture also lets you start building that relationship with the customer early by offering a VIP experience. So here we can do things like giving them early access to sales or even your Black Friday deals. It gives good transparency with your brand. And again, it makes the customer feel involved because they're getting something no one else is. They're getting a chance to shop these sales. If we capture leads early, we can also do things like communicate stock or pre-order issues. If there's an item that's out of stock on your site, you can collect a lead capture there and then offer that customer communication back when the item's back in stock. This works much better with faster communication like SMS or push notifications, but it'll work with email as well. It also lets them be the first to know about your products and be there on the site to purchase them when they're available. Another point with lead capture is, especially with big ticket items, we have a longer sales cycle. So that gives us more time to communicate and develop that relationship with the customer before they make the purchase. When typically lead capture, when you do it through checkout, you lose all of that lead time, all the big chunk time while they're making their decision to communicate with them, build a relationship, and make the case for your product. If we capture the lead at the beginning, that allows us all the extra time to communicate. Also, once we have that email with Justuno, we can use audience sync to pass their browsing information and other first-party data we collect right through to your ad services on Facebook and Google. And that allows you to be more specific with your targeting and you can send better ads directly to customers who are interested automatically. Once we have our lead capture in place, the next piece to set up is cart abandonment and exit offer strategies. So a common strategy with exit offers is a timer, but with big ticket items, we do need to be a little careful how we do it. You have to be specific about what customers you're targeting and what products you're putting these timers on. Some of this is very common sense. You can know if you're selling, a $2,000 treadmill and put it on a 3-minute timer, no one's going to make that purchase that fast. But you also don't want to give them 6 months to think about it because there's no fear of missing out there for them. So you want to work on generating that exact right timer to create the FOMO without putting too much pressure on your customer. Once you have a range where you have an idea of what that timer might be, this is an excellent opportunity to do some A/B testing and see what gets the best response to help push for that conversion. Exit offers are also a great opportunity to reinforce buy now, pay later options. We're seeing more and more in e-commerce these options being available, and it makes a big difference with our big ticket items. One of the most common reasons for abandoning carts is sticker shock. So we can help soften that blow a little bit by offering the buy now, pay later and an exit offer. When they see that price and go leave the cart, we then tell them, well, what if you don't pay it all up front? What if you can do it a bit at a time? And that can help bring them back and make the conversion before they leave the site. Cart abandonment and exit offers also give us an opportunity to work with geo-targeting. So these are location-based offers. They are common for people who have brick and mortar stores. So when someone's viewing an item, you can direct them to the nearest brick and mortar to check it out. But it also offers a more important opportunity with big ticket items because people are less likely to make that big purchase when they can't see and feel the product in person. And sometimes that's something we can help out with, whether it's in a brick and mortar store or it's in a limited time pop-up shop that happens. These are very common with direct consumer products like mattresses especially. So not only can we direct them to that location, but also it's offering an opportunity to advertise these pop-up shops if that's something you're doing. So not only are you notifying people about it, but you're notifying the specific segment of your customers that's in that location. A lot of times this can help calm the doubts of making the purchase and even bring them back online to make that purchase from you. Another important part of the whole process of completing the customer experience is building that trust that we've talked about so far. So one of the best ways to do this is being transparent with shipping issues, especially in this day and age. Everyone has problems getting their product to its destination. And being upfront with your customers is going to go a long way in that. So here we have the opportunity to use geo-targeting to specifically notify customers when their local warehouse is experiencing delays or when an item may not be available in their location. We can pair this with lead capture and then notify that customer when that item becomes available. So not only do they feel like they're involved, but that you're being upfront and honest with them. I'll just give you a little personal anecdote here. Right at the beginning of COVID, when everyone was working from home, I made a big ticket online purchase for my home office. And I was notified, I did a lot of my research, I went to all the sites, I decided on my product, and they were notifying everyone that it was taking up to 60 days to make delivery of the product. And so I acknowledged that when I had made my purchase, and it showed up in under 3 weeks. Now, if I had seen nothing about shipping and it had taken 3 weeks for me to get my big ticket item home, I would have maybe been neutral about it, possibly been annoyed that it took so long and I didn't hear anything. But because the seller under-promised and over-delivered, I was very impressed with 3-week delivery window and became a loyal customer for that reason. And the only thing they did different was be upfront with me about it. Once we have our exit offers and lead captures in place and we're working on building that trust with the customer, we can then start personalizing their experience throughout the journey. So the easiest way to do this is with product recommendations. We can use their browsing history or even their past orders to recommend new products. And that's a very common process with any form of e-commerce. But with our big ticket items, we can take it even a little bit further. It's important to respect the price tag on these big ticket items. You know they're making a big purchase and it's a big decision for them to buy it online with you. So you aren't necessarily trying to turn around and quickly make another sale of that big ticket item. Instead, we can focus on selling items that go well with the item they purchased. Personalized accessories that match that big ticket item can be a great way to do this. So whether this is something like they buy a bike from you and now you're selling them cycling shoes, workout clothes, water bottles, these are all ways you can give them that personal experience and also work on cross-sell for yourself. Another example would be a mattress company that gives them options to buy mattress protectors, pillows, sheets. And these don't even necessarily need to be products you have. If you can point them to someone else who has them or a place to look, that can be a great resource to build that customer relationship. Some big ticket items don't always have the convenience of having accessories that go with it. But that doesn't mean we can't still be building a relationship based on their past purchase. Once we know what they bought, we can start providing them with promotions that still build the customer relationship. We can send things like emails and blog posts. If someone bought a new oven from your site, you can send them recipes, care instructions, reminders to clean, and even lifestyle suggestions. Someone purchasing that mountain bike or wakeboard is going to be interested in reading articles about use. So you don't necessarily need to be selling something to be building that customer relationship. And in the long term, that's going to work very well for you. 91% of consumers are more likely to shop with a brand when they feel like the recommendations are relevant to them. So if you are giving them relevant recommendations, you're keeping them as customers, and they're more likely to come back even after they purchase their big item. This is also a chance to upsell warranties and repair protection. These are often overlooked items that get left out of a purchase because someone doesn't think they need it up front. But if we can remind them that these are options as they're preparing to make that big purchase, they might decide to spend a little bit of extra money with you to ensure and protect the big purchase they're making. So you never want to let those opportunities go by. We can further personalize experience using influencers and sponsorships. This can come from online influencers, celebrities, or brand ambassadors. Influencers help generate trust behind big ticket items. So once your users are seeing them used by people they trust, they know that's an item they can come to you for. And now we can target those people directly using UTMs. We can find people coming from TikTok and Instagram and know that they are coming from a specific influencer and direct them to a specific product that matches their interests. All this is the first party data we are collecting and using to create that personalized journey for every customer. There's another study that shows 55% of millennials are highly interested in buying big ticket items online. So the important way to get those customers are to develop that trust and create that experience for them when they come to your site. And that is all I had. I do have an offer for everybody. For all of March, we're doing 15% off any Justuno Essential plan using the code SPRING15.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brad. That was great. Yeah, a ton to dive into there as well. We actually had one quick question coming from the audience before we go to Dina's presentation. And they want to know how granular you can get with geo-targeting. They don't want to tell people about something like a pop-up shop if it's not realistic, if they'll be able to get to it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's very important. We can target down from country, down to state, all the way down to zip code. Be very specific about what consumers we're targeting with our promotions. I've even helped customers set up promotions for shipping based on different regions with specific shipping information about wherever they're going to be that is accurate and helps them make that decision. And you can use that for your pop-up shops, for your shipping, for any time you want to reach a person in the real world.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. I saw that thumbs up from Krish. We know you have a lot to say about shipping, Krish, and then you will get there. All right. Thank you so much, Brad. Great. if you want to stop sharing the screen real quick, and then Adina will share hers and keep it rolling.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know Francesca and Brad talked a little bit about reviews, but I'm going to give you guys kind of an in-depth overview of how you can use reviews to convert more high-ticket items. So a little bit of background on me. I know I introduced myself earlier, but I manage our West Coast strategic. Yes, we do have a poll. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
So before I get into that, how much do reviews influence your online purchase decisions? Would love to know.
The options are: I always read reviews, I sometimes read reviews, and I never read reviews. I'm definitely in the always camp.
Me too. I'm always reading reviews.
All right, we'll give them a few more seconds to come in.
Oh, also, thanks, Craig. Appreciate the comment in the chat. We can always chat offline as well to strategize around how you can get more customers to leave reviews. So I can connect with you after this. But yeah, it looks like the poll shows that about 57% of you guys say that you always read reviews when making a purchase. So obviously reviews are very important. There's a lot you can do with them. And it just really helps with that social proof and credibility when you're getting new shoppers to convert. So yeah, Adina, that's who I am. I run West Coast Agency Partnerships. Before that, I was actually agency side, heading up strategic partnerships at an agency called Mute 6, based in LA. And then before that, I was working at NetSuite, selling ERP to apparel, footwear, and accessories brands. So been in the e-com space for quite a while. And I've seen kind of every part of the business journey. A little bit about Okendo. We're a ratings and reviews platform built specifically for Shopify. We help brands to maximize their conversion based on increasing, average order value and lifetime customer value as well. We do work with over 5,000 of Shopify's fast-growing D2C brands. You might recognize some of them: Skims, Nomad, Buck Mason, Netflix, and we're constantly adding to this, which is super exciting for us. So putting things into numbers, I do have a couple really cool statistics that I found. 99% of customers read product reviews before making a purchase. Customers are also more willing to spend 31% more with a brand that has excellent reviews. An interesting stat as well: 57% of shoppers read reviews while shopping in brick and mortar stores to assess potential purchases. And especially now in a world where we have cookieless tracking and changes in privacy and targeting, we're seeing that reviews have become more important now than ever. The first thing I want to cover is how you can increase conversions on high ticket items and increase zero-party data collection using robust reviews. I've got an example here from one of our clients, the Office of Angela Scott. They make really beautiful luxury women's shoes that go for anywhere between $500 to $600. We love to highlight key selling points with product attributes. So that would be these slider bars down here. We know that a 5-star review with some text that says, "I love them" or "amazing," it says that your customer loves your product, but it doesn't necessarily tell you that much about the product itself. So by using product attributes, we're able to highlight key selling points of your brand or of your product without relying on the reviewer to leave it in the body of the text. So when we hit the PDP, we see straight away that the comfort is excellent and the sizing runs true to size. So as a new shopper, I could align my decision with that. And of course, those are completely customizable and there's no code writing necessary. Here's another example from our client Levo, an herbal infusion machine. that goes for about $300 per order. You can see here that Levo is collecting a ton of what we call customer attributes. So things like age range, bought for, product standouts, and you can see that they're using these as well to sort of collect zero-party data. So that helps increase conversions. And as a shopper, I'm taking a look at reviews and I'm going to align my purchasing decision with people that have similar characteristics to me. So if I'm reading through Levo's reviews and I see that Patricia bought the machine for the same reason, or for relevant product standouts that I would want, much more likely that I'm going to purchase that product. And then again, like I said, going a little bit deeper, you can use customer attributes to collect zero-party data directly from your shoppers. So your shoppers are willingly telling you how they identify themselves, and then you can leverage that for personalization of your campaigns to those customers. Here's another example from a brand we work with called Haven. They sell mattresses and mattress accessories with an AOV of about $900. So definitely with an AOV that high and without being able to go in the store to test out the mattress, you want to make sure that you're building trust and credibility with your shoppers. You can see here Haven is leveraging their current customers to do that. They're showcasing customer and product attributes. So collecting information around sleep style, age range, how one sleeps, as well as the mattress firmness, quality, and overall rating to help new shoppers trust your brand. Here's another really interesting one. I just keep giving you guys examples. I want to show you what different brands are doing. This brand is called Plunge. It's a very niche product. They sell to a niche market. They sell cold plunge baths. So if you've never heard of them, check it out. And they're powerful and filtered cold plunge baths go for about $5,000 per item. So extremely high AOV, and Plunge uses Okendo reviews and ratings to showcase how their customers are utilizing their cold plunge bath, how much they like the product. And you can see they're collecting information around frequency of use, temperature of plunge, product standouts, and product attributes. Just so many other things. Really helps, again, get new shoppers to convert. Another really great thing is adding filters. Of course, these are a really good idea to use because you're allowing your customers to really efficiently self-select the characteristics and reviews that they'd like to see, and then align, their own decision with that. Another great tip I have for everyone is to publish negative reviews. I know that's a little bit, misleading. Sometimes people are like, don't publish your bad reviews. No, we absolutely recommend that you should, as well as your 5-star reviews. So publishing negative reviews actually helps your purchase likelihood go up when the average star rating of a product is between 4.2 and 4.5 stars. So negative reviews actually has a positive impact because they help establish trust and authenticity. You're not hiding behind anything. You're being completely transparent with your shoppers. And in addition to that, we recommend that brands respond either publicly or privately to negative reviews. This again shows transparency, but also that you're delivering optimal customer support, and that you care about your customers. So with Okendo, you have the ability to publicly or privately respond to reviews. I have an example from our client, The Mix. They are a homeware and kitchen brand. This product specifically is a vacuum cleaner, which is being reviewed, and it goes for about $800. So definitely not cheap. So they published this negative review from a customer that had a bad experience with the vacuum. You can see, that The Mix has responded to the negative review and has shown really good customer support. And that actually helps new shoppers feel more comfortable buying from you for the first time, because they know that, if they bought from you and even if the product doesn't work for them, you'll take care of them. I do have a case study from Office of Angela Scott. Once they implemented Okendo robust reviews, utilized all the integrations that we have, and also had product and customer attributes within their reviews, they actually saw a 51% decrease in their cost per action, an 81% increase in their conversion rate, and a 91% increase in their return on ad spend, which is pretty impressive to see what brands are able to achieve once they, start using reviews. The second thing I want to cover is how to capture and leverage high impact user generated content. With high ticket items, we know that UGC is really going to be powerful. 90% of information transmitted to the brain is virtual, and we process images 60,000 times faster than text. And I think, Francesca, you were talking a little bit about content and just having, good images on your site. So I do have an example here from Hyperlight. They're one of our clients. Their AOV is about $735. They sell different like camping gear. This specifically is a camping tent. And they have their customers posting pictures of what their tents look like while they're using it out in nature. So it's really about creating an authentic vibe, because we know that, brand imagery is great, and it's good to have that on your PDP, obviously, so your customers can see what the product looks like. But they also want to see what it looks like, out in the wilds, how to use it, why are people using it? Just different things like that. It's really going to help. We also know that 73% of consumers say they'd be motivated to write a review if they were offered an incentive. A great little tip here is to offer coupons or points to people in exchange for leaving customer feedback. You can also tier out your rewards. So if you want to incentivize more UGC, perhaps you offer 10% off your next purchase for a text review, and then maybe make that a little higher, make it a 20% discount if someone leaves a video or a photo review. That helps increase your review rate. So the third tip I have is that brands should utilize social proof throughout their website and digital marketing campaigns. So something that's pretty standard is that reviews can be found on the product detail page, so on the PDP. You can also show your reviews as an aggregate at the top of your review section on the PDP as well, so you can see that here. There are a lot of other places you can use your star ratings. So here it's feeding through to your collections page. We've got a homepage carousel with reviews. Here we're feeding through the Okendo star ratings into this 460 Instagram widget feed on the website. And here we've got reviews on recently reviewed carousel, on a product recommendations app, as well as on the upsell and cross-sell app as well. Another really great tip here, utilize customer reviews and UGC in your ads. Having worked at a digital marketing agency in the past, what we'd always see was that ads that looked more native, that looked like real people, that could be your friends, short clips that show people using the product with some text overlay, those convert really, really well. And those are the types of videos that, people are stopping and looking at while they're scrolling. So definitely use them in your Instagram and Facebook ads. Another tip that's really, really important, and probably my favorite to give you all today, is to turn on your Google Shopping integration with your reviews platform, if it has that. This will allow you to feed through your star ratings over into your Google Shopping ads or your product listing ads. You can see here that the Office of Angela Scott is doing just that. And we've seen that this really helps improve click-through rate as well as return on paid media. I know I'm going really fast. I just want to make sure I'm getting all this information, but another really great integration that happens with Google is with rich snippets. That's feeding through the structured data into your organic product listings. So you can see those star ratings being fed through from Okendo. This really helps make your product listing more attractive and more eye-catching, and people are much more likely to click on those listings when they have star ratings on them. And finally, the last tip I would want to give you guys is to integrate your reviews with email, SMS, loyalty, and any of your tech stack that makes sense. Here I've got a great example of integrating loyalty with reviews. And it's actually offering, loyalty points and gift cards in exchange for a review. For a review, we're able to tier out incentives, as I mentioned earlier, to encourage customers to leave UGC, so photo or videos. And it's a higher number of points when they add a photo or video. So you're making sure that you're incentivizing the right behavior. And we're also able to ask customers who leave a 5-star review to refer a friend. So they're already kind of your brand advocates. They've had a positive experience and they're likely to refer their friends over to buy from you as well. And Okendo specifically works really well with Klaviyo and OmniSend. You can integrate that with your ESP, so you can integrate Okendo with your ESP, allows you to send your review request sequences directly out of Klaviyo or OmniSend. This means that you can create brand consistent emails that fits your user journey and that you're looking to uphold, rather than sending kind of a copy and paste templated review request email. We also allow you to sync all of your Okendo customer data, so age, gender, skin type, city, state, whatever it is, with your ESP's customer data profile, and you're able to add social proof and credibility to your abandoned cart email campaigns, product recommendations, cross-sell, upsell. Really helps encourage that click-through to conversion. And lastly, a big trend this year is to add SMS to your review request sequences. So you can see, brands are sending review request messages through their SMS provider. We work with Klaviyo, Attentive, and Postscript, and we see that combining email and SMS allows you to collect a higher number of reviews. We also help brands personalize their campaigns with zero-party data. So all that information you're collecting from your customers can be synced again with your ESP, your SMS. You can then create audience segments and send personalized targeted campaigns based on that information you're collecting. So again, just retargeting your customers. And finally, I do have a case study on Groove Life, a brand we work with that sells silicone rings and watches. So if any of you men out there on the webinar are looking for a wedding band, they sell some really great stuff. They utilized Okendo and really leveraged the zero-party data that they were collecting and integrating that information with their Klaviyo and Attentive campaigns. And just by doing that and using Okendo, they saw a 29% increase in total review generation, an 8.7% increase in review completion, and a 53% increase in ROI from coupons, which again, using coupons, you're just getting your shoppers to come back and purchase again from you. And I do have a special offer for everyone. We are offering 60 days free of Okendo, which is a pretty good steal, as long as you sign up before March 31st, which is coming up. Feel free to email me or message me, and I can get you set up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dina. That was great. We have only just about 15 more minutes. So, Dina, there are a couple Okendo specific questions in the chat if you want to answer them for Oscar. Yeah, sure. But Krish, why don't you go ahead and take it away? So, and yeah, let's keep it rolling. Krish, can you hear me?
Okay, well, so why don't we start off with a poll, if you can throw that one up there.
Sorry, Krish, there was an update to your poll and it's going to be skipped this time. Yeah.
Not a problem. All right, well, let's get right into it. So, I think all the information that we've had here between Francesca, between Brad, between Adina, really all flow together. And the reality is the last step, that moment of truth, is shipping. But all of these things add into the shipping experience. And we're going to talk about why in just a second. First off, a little bit about what we're going to cover here. I'm going to tell you a little about me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're seeing in shipping and logistics and how that relates to some big ticket items. And talk about how we satisfy that demand now for the big ticket items these days. Couple of key takeaways, and we'll send you on your merry way, not before we go through a little offer for you as well. So a little bit about me. I'm the Vice President of Industry Relations and Partnerships for Octane, which covers ShipStation, Shipping Easy, numerous other brands. I also serve as the Vice President of the Package Shippers Association, the group that lobbies on behalf of the package shipping industry with Congress, with the USPS, and with other entities as well. And I live in Stamford, Connecticut, as I said on the early part of the call. Sadly, not somewhere that is sunny and happy today like California or Phoenix, or Austin for that matter. So what is it that we're seeing from merchants when it comes to shipping and logistics? We did a survey of merchants, both pre and post COVID, and in addition to shoppers themselves. And of course, we're seeing that over 70% of consumers obviously are buying in bulk or stockpiling. But what we're also doing is getting more comfortable buying more items online that we wouldn't have done before. Look at the increase in furniture purchase on Wayfair, and certainly some of the big ticket items and brands that both Adina and Francesca and Brad talked about earlier. And over half of the folks that we talked to reported that they're still doing that over a year later. And supply chains, of course, we're hearing a lot about them in the news, still haven't quite caught up, but especially with supply chain problems, a lot of consumers trying to stockpile, even stockpiling things like big ticket items like furniture and other types of items like that, which really blew my mind to think that people would be stockpiling furniture and big ticket items like that. Yet here we are. So a little over 2/3 of the folks that we talked to expect brands, including ones in big ticket items, to offer free shipping to counterbalance some of the slower shipping times and the lack of visibility sometimes that we're seeing. We're going to obviously talk about how to manage that a little bit. I know a question came in the chat a little while ago about how hard it is to offer free shipping, especially when we're talking about those big ticket items. We'll talk about that in just a minute. About almost 90% of brands that we talked to expected them to offer free return windows and extended returns during the pandemic. And over half of folks that we've talked to say that they expect brands to offer that triple crown of free shipping, extended returns windows, and free returns, and they want that permanently. So it's really becoming the expectation to have all three of these things: free shipping, extended returns windows, and free returns indefinitely. And that includes and especially holds true for big ticket items. So now that we know what the demand is and what consumers want, let's talk a little bit about how we can supply that demand and make the front of the store and the back of the store look seamless, operate and fulfill seamlessly as well. So we're really starting to see a shift where consumers really are saying that they want to buy both in-store and online to almost equal degrees. Before, it really was dependent on the item itself. Now we're seeing that across items, and especially in big ticket purchases, they're really showing that preference that really has gone away to go in store for big ticket items. So those preferences really are holding true even as we come out of the pandemic as well. So how do we supply that demand? As I said, how do we scale without upsetting our customers? This goes without saying, to Francesca's point earlier about layout, imagery, and navigation, and ideas of geo-targeting that Brad talked about, something even simpler, having actual inventory. The cost of lost product sales by product unavailability is about 17 billion. So just something as simple as actually having the inventory, and I think to Brad's point earlier, actually communicating whether you have it or not in stock, something that simple is really important. So how do we make the back of the business look as good as the front? Sorry, it skipped a slide for a sec. being able to fulfill in a timely fashion. To Brad's example of the under promising and over delivering, being able to fulfill in a timely fashion, super important. I had a story recently that early part of the year, my wedding anniversary and my mother's birthday were almost the same date. I ordered something for my wife. It was a Shopify store. Hexclad was the brand. Gave me a specific day and time and a map on exactly the delivery. Communicated with me by SMS, certainly to some of the points that Adina raised earlier about SMS communication. And it was a good experience, even though it was a few days later than I originally expected. Contrast that with a tier 1 brand I bought for my mother's birthday. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, nothing. I check the page and all I see is that product waiting to be shipped. I finally, a month later, called the retailer and they said to me, well, not really sure. It's a drop ship. It's one of our vendors. We have no control over that. So we're not sure. It says it's going to ship in a couple days. That's obviously a horrible experience as a consumer, and I will never buy from that brand again. So having the ability to fulfill that in a timely fashion, having the inventory, knowing where it is, and being able to communicate that with the consumer, extremely, extremely important. So how do we make the back of the business look as good as the front? Now, again, we've talked a little bit earlier, again, about layout, imagery, navigation, but in the shipping arena, the same is true. And the idea here is, how do we really make our branded experience look just as good as other parts of the business? And if you look at it here, this is a great example of what not to do. Tracking. So this was a tracking page that I received for an item, gave me a generic tracking number, didn't give me any information, and then it said not found. Think of what kind of experience this is for me as a consumer. I took a look at this and I know nothing of when it's going to be fulfilled, if it's going to be fulfilled. It really told me nothing, and probably was even worse than actually not communicating with me about tracking at all. So really and truly, your shipping, it's the last piece of what you do, especially for high value items. There's a lot of expectations around the brand, around that brand touch point to communicate. Really important to get things like the nuance around shipping and tracking, branded tracking, your email notifications, getting that right and within really the context of what your brand is. Okay, so let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, which is returns. 76% shoppers consider ease of returns when making a purchase. That goes without saying. Earlier, I think Francesca talked a little bit about where shipping policies and FAQs are. Same idea on returns, thinking of the questions that you're going to have around shipping and logistics. It's not just what your returns policies are, but how it relates to the shipment itself. Meaning, are you going to know who's going to pay? For example, consumers believe that 94% of consumers that we surveyed believe that returns should be free. And right now we're in March Madness. So it's the spring of 2022. If you haven't written your holiday returns policies now, it's best to do so for the coming holiday season. Don't get into September, October, and really try to determine what your returns policies are going to be. And I'll tell you a reason why. About a year ago, we had done our survey about consumers and found out that people were doing their holiday season shopping as soon as August. And I remember mentioning that to my wife, saying, can you believe that people are actually shopping for the holidays and it's August? We were in September. And she looked at me and said, well, yeah, of course. I've already gotten all of mine done. So the important thing about that is that when you're talking about holiday returns policies, what's that window? Know that your consumers are stockpiling and shopping for the holidays far sooner in the cycle than you may have thought, And this is especially true with the big ticket, high brand value items because of that fear of product availability. So some key takeaways here. Accessibility concerns have clearly prompted people buying those items in larger quantities and buying some of those big ticket items well in advance of the holiday season, and certainly buying them more than they have in previous years. Second, having the inventory on hand. I know it sounds common sense, but having an optimally branded shipping experience is essential, especially for big ticket items. I know providing free shipping, especially on those big ticket items, seems challenging, but it's important to really build that into your cost structure and know that that's the expectation. And finally, same thing with returns. Ease of returns critical. For years, apparel in particular would be a vertical that tried to add a degree of friction into the experience. Really, we've kind of jumped the shark on that. Really, really important to provide free returns, be very clear and transparent on your returns policies, and finally, write your returns policies now, if you haven't already, for these items for the holiday season. So with that, let me turn it over to hopefully our poll question, and if not, that's fine too, and we'll move on to the next thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Krish. That was great. A ton of great shipping takeaways there. We have a couple minutes left, so I want to spend them answering as many questions as we can. And one came in for you, actually, Krish. And yeah, thank you for that special offer. I'll be sending out all the partner offers again in just a moment.
Thank you. My company would get mad if I didn't say that we had, if you use the offer code Justuno317, you can get an extra 30-day trial of ShipStation. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Krish. Yeah, quick question for you. This is from Catherine from the audience. And she wants to know, what's a good strategy for balancing the order tracking process when you need to schedule an installation at the end? So for example, like a Peloton, it needs to both get there and schedule the actual installation. It goes for a lot of products.
Sure. Honestly, knowing shipping and logistics delays, it's perfectly okay with customer expectations these days to know that those may be discrete events. Most of the time, retailers in those spaces think, I've got to deliver and assemble the same day. And while that's optimal, consumers are showing that they're understanding in a lot of ways. They're saying that they may appreciate actually receiving the item, even if somebody has to come a couple days later, even if it's a little inconvenient. I'll tell you an example of me personally. We got some furniture from EQ3, which is a furniture retailer in Canada. They came to deliver and actually had to come a different day to assemble, which may have been inconvenient, but it still gave me the peace of mind to know that the item was received. I was able to track it. And knowing that those are generally handled by different people, meaning a warehouse sends an item, whereas a local store or retail location is generally responsible for the assembly. I think it's perfectly okay as long as you're having communication and scheduling with the end consumer. Then I think it's perfectly okay these days, and consumers are understanding. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. Thanks, Krish.
No problem.
And I saw that Anthony just sent in a follow-up strategy there as well. So thanks, Anthony. All right, so we have about a minute left. So let's see what we can answer here. We have one question, and this is, I think, kind of goes for everyone, but maybe leaning towards Francesca. And it's most of the high-end brand sites they've looked at are operating on a headless or custom site. Is that due to a need for a very specific customization or something else?
Yeah, I can take a stab at that one. I don't think it's necessarily specific to a need as much as it is just the direction that a lot of e-commerce brands are moving towards nowadays, to offer them a little bit more flexibility when it comes to what they can customize. So I know that's a bit of a yes and a no answer, but it's less about need and more about want in that regard.
Awesome. Thanks, Francesca. I know headless is a big topic right now. It's growing and growing, much like SMS and others. So yeah, I think it's a growing trend across the board, but I can see that. Thanks. All right. We are at time, unfortunately. I know there are probably a number of other questions we could get to, but unfortunately we are at time. If you do have any questions at all for any of our panelists, please reach out. I'll be sending out the recording of this webinar tomorrow. And if you have any further questions, you can reach out directly to our panelists. So thank you again to everyone that showed up and to our panelists, Francesca, Adina, Brad, and Krish. It's been great. Yeah, so thank you very much. You guys want to say bye?
Thank you as well. Bye, everyone.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.